going everyone? Mike the Warhost here, and today we're starting a new series of videos going over everything you need to know to get started with the new edition of Wild West Exodus. We'll cover everything from list building to walking through the Showdown at Retribution starter campaign to expand your new or existing collections. Today though, we'll be going over how to assemble your posses and detachments in the new edition of Wild West Exodus. A lot has changed since we talked about this previously, so let's go ahead and get started. The first thing you're going to notice is the addition of detachments. These are a new aspect to the game and one that will be making an appearance when Lost World Exodus shows up. Detachments represent forces with more traditional military structures and functionality, whereas posses are more freeform and chaotic. The way this plays out in game is the difference between largesse and command. The two rules function pretty similarly, but with some key differences. Both let other units tap into the available fortune of their boss or commander. However, command restricts that to only units within 15 inches. Largesse has no distance restriction, but it can't be used by a boss if they're hunkered. Command also allows units to use the commander's mind value when making morale checks, which are a bigger issue now than in the previous edition. For today's video, we'll be looking at the two detachments that come in the Showdown at Retribution starter set. Tesla's Irresistible Force and Eiffel's Spider in the Web. The first step will be checking the faction handbooks for both the Union and the Enlightened, available for free on the Wild West Exodus website. When you look at the detachment entry, you'll notice the list is a lot more freeform than in the previous edition. You don't need to pick units or fill slots in a specific order anymore. Instead, you start out by fulfilling the must include slots before moving on to the may include slots, while abiding by the limitations listed. You also want to check the overall rules at the top for additional clarifications on list specifics. When looking at the Irresistible Force detachment entry, you can see exactly what can be brought in this posse and what needs to stay behind. Naturally, given Tesla's background as an inventor and previous member of the Covenant of the Enlightened, his list revolves heavily around using automata and lots of high-tech gadgets. The first must-include bullet point is Nikola Tesla as your detachment commander, so any of his other traits, like Tesla Masterwork, can't be used to satisfy requirements for other bullet points further down the list. Our next bullet point is one of the must-include requirements, 2 units with Tesla Masterwork. Currently there are 4 units that meet this requirement: the Union Bell, the Iron Eagles, and both flavors of Tesla Bot. If you're looking to make the most out of your Showdown at Retribution minis, I recommend putting the Union Bell and Iron Eagles in this slot. Next up is a single model with the Union trait. This can be any unit in the Union roster that does not have the Commander trait. It's basically a free space to jam in anything you want. If you already have a significant Union collection, feel free to use whatever looks good. If you're just starting out with the Showdown at Retribution minis though, this is where Carl Fredrickson would go. Our final composition bullet point gives you an additional 3 units for anything with both the Union and Automata traits. This is where the meat of the detachment will be coming from. Here is where you can put the bulk of your detachment and get a good amount of firepower. There's a good number of options you can take here, so put some thought into it. The available units for this slot are K9 Attack Dog Pack, K9 Guard Dog, K9 Gun Dog Pack, UR31 GI Bot Fire Team, Hawk Scout Automata, UR31E Tesla Bot Guards, UR31E Tesla Bot Rifleman, UR31E Iron Eagle. If you're going with just the Showdown at Retribution set, here's where your Tesla Bot units will go while leaving some room for additional growth. For new players, I'd recommend getting a K9 unit as they can be used in almost any list. The last item in the detachment entry is the bonus, a specific perk you get for taking this particular theme posse. Every theme posse will have a bonus of some sort available to it. For Tesla's posse, you can remove the disorder condition from any automata unit within 10 inches of Tesla at the start of each round, which is definitely helpful. Moving on to the Enlightened half of the starter box, let's talk about the Spider in the Web detachment. This is another themed posse, so your options will be somewhat limited regarding unit choice. As Eiffel is fond of fast-moving constructs, you'll be able to take quite a few of them here. The first bullet point, naturally, lists Gustav Eiffel as the detachment commander. Since he's going here, none of his other traits will satisfy other requirements further down the list. The next bullet point lists either a Strider Cav or a Wittery unit as a must-include, so this must be satisfied to use this detachment at all. For new players, here's where your Strider Cav unit goes in the list. Going down the list is the last must include option, which only specifies a unit with the Enlightened trait. In fact, the next bullet point allows for an additional 3 units with just the Enlightened trait, giving players a lot of flexibility. The last bullet point gives you yet another 3 slots, though these are restricted to Strider Cav or Widower units. These slots are where your Construct Cavalry, Smash and Grab, Mono Cav, and Emily Norge will go for new players. Veteran Enlightened players will have a wider array of unit options to choose from. The detachment's limitation here is important to note. The only units in this detachment you can load up on are Strider Cavs and Widowers. Anything else can only be taken once, which makes sense when you consider the theme bonus. Strider Cavs and Widowers get to focus the movement portion of their charge special actions for free, giving them a boost to getting into melee. Well, that's going to do it for me today. Stay tuned for more Wild West Exodus, Mythos, Fog and Friction, and Dystopian Wars content in the near future, as well as some looks at Lost World Exodus in the not so near future. Maybe. At some point. Please? Alright, take care everyone.